Hi, my name is Jim. Welcome to my channel, Hike With Me Colorado. I'm excited today because we're going to hike up the tallest peak in the state of Colorado, Mount Elbert. It's actually not just the tallest peak in the state of Colorado, it's the second tallest peak in the lower 48 states. The only taller peak being Mount Whitney in California. I've included on the screen a couple snips that I got from the AllTrails app. They haven't sponsored anything, I've got a paid annual subscription with them. Their app and website is a huge resource though. It's helped me identify trails that I've never taken before. They provide maps and a detailed view of the trail. They also have a section where other users can post reviews of the trail and real-time information about the trail conditions. Seldom is the latest review more than a few days old. So I've never gone on this trip before, but I knew going into it exactly what conditions I was going to get because of this app. I'll leave a link to it in the descriptions tab. There are 3 routes up Mount Elbert. I've gone ahead and chosen the most difficult of them. This route is the Black Cloud Trail. The trailhead is approximately 12 miles south of Leadville. You can barely find the parking lot. It's got a tiny sign that says Black Cloud on it. It's near the Twin Peaks campground. When I got to the trailhead, there were approximately 8 other cars there, and several people camped overnight in tents. There were 3 cars for the Colorado 14ers Initiative, which I assume was the crew that was doing some remediation work along the trail. It had been a fairly long drive to get there. It was about 7:30 in the morning, and this was August 3rd of 2023. I was very excited to get going just as soon as I could, as soon as I got there. Mount Elbert is 14,440 feet tall. The Black Cloud Trail that I'm taking today is 5.5 miles long, and over the course you get 4,882 feet of elevation gain. One thing I didn't expect on this trip was how much my surroundings were going to change. It seemed like one moment I was in an aspen forest, and then I was in pine forest. Then I was out in open tundra, and then I was in grassland, and then aspens again, and then pine forest. And then aspens, and then pine forest, and then rocks, and then grassland, and then aspens, and then rocks, and then grassland.
La-da-da.
trail meets and follows along Black Cloud Creek for several points during this trail. You can't see it all that well, although when you can see it, it's stunning. But when you hear it, it sure does seem powerful. It takes a shot like this to truly appreciate exactly how steep this trail is. Without those switchbacks, a lot of this trail would be washed out in the first rainstorm. At several points during this film, you're going to see that I'm rolling the camera back. That's because the better view is actually behind me. As we ascend the mountain, we start to see some of the neighboring mountains like Mount Hope, Rinker Peak, La Plata Peak, Star Mountain, Ouray Peak, and Grizzly Peak. Here's that creek again. The bridge across it is just some logs and branches, but it's remarkably stable. So 3 of those trucks that were in the parking lot when I got there looked like they were for a trail maintenance organization. Several times along the trail I saw spots like this with nice new steps. There were a few retaining walls and other things to channel water so that the water didn't just run down the trail. Honestly, it looked like great work. And you've got to wonder how long these guys had to work just to haul the supplies up. I would have thought that would be a whole day's journey just to haul up supplies before they could even install it. I saw some of the crew from a distance further up the trail, and honestly, my hat's off to them. Great job, guys. Thank you very much. You know, as steep as most of this trail was, there were spots where you'd come out of the forest into what looks like a little meadow, and it's nice and flat, and you could almost forget that you're climbing the tallest mountain in Colorado. As I'm filming this, my channel's only about a month old. My original idea was to film hiking and biking videos with the idea that I'd be able to run them back during the winter when the weather is not so nice and be able to see some of the nice scenery while I'm on a treadmill or an exercise bike. It'd be a bonus if I could figure out how to do it on a lake in the kayak so that I could see that when I'm using my rowing machine. The more I use my camera though, the more I realize that I should be using it to film some of the more adventurous trips that I take. so that people who are not physically able to do those trips would be able to enjoy the same scenery that I am. I'm using an Insta360 X3 camera, which is really quite impressive for what it is. This is not a sponsored video. I paid retail price for the camera, but all the same, I want to tell you it's very impressive. Image stabilization on it is quite impressive, but you have to have it mounted to a selfie stick, and holding a selfie stick stable is something that I struggle with. So far, the best option that I've got is to mount it onto a frame of a framed backpack for a long trip like this. If anybody has a suggestion of a better way to accomplish this, drop me a line in the comment section. I'd love to hear it. There were several spots on the trail where people had been camping, and honestly, that's not a bad idea. It's not that the trail can't be done in a day. It's that you might enjoy it better if you're able to take it in small chunks. As we get past 11,000 feet in elevation, you'll notice that the trees get smaller and less dense. This is a phenomenon known as tree line. There are a lot of factors in play, but the net effect is that the larger the plant, the less likely it's going to have a long enough growing season to be able to make it from one year to the next. So as we continue on our journey, we're going to see less trees, more grass, bushes, wildflowers, and eventually just rocks. Most guidebooks recommend that you start your trip up the trail 6 a.m. or earlier so that you've had a chance to summit and start heading down before the afternoon thunderstorms arrive. I was definitely pushing it today with my 7:30 start. I was a little concerned as the wind started picking up and those clouds were moving very quickly, but thankfully just wind was all that we got. This was about the point when I realized that I didn't have enough battery for my 360 camera to keep it running the whole time until I fully reached the summit. So I decided to stop, take some still pictures with my phone, and keep a little bit of battery left for the 360 camera when I finally reached the summit. This is one of several of the false summits on the way up the trail. I believe this one is South Elbert, which is 14,134 feet, meaning that I've still got 300 feet left to go. But those views are stunning. After that last false summit, there's actually a decent amount of distance to cover on relatively flat ground, but it's a narrow trail with a steep drop-off on each side. The still pictures don't do it justice, but over on the side you can see a little bit of what's left of the snow. It's hard to imagine, but this mountain is normally covered in snow most of the year. That last climb up to the true summit will really test your legs. It's quite steep and there are lots of large boulders that you're jumping in between. The rocks are loose and the path is a little difficult to figure out. Here we are at the actual summit. It's 14,440 feet. It took me 4 hours and 20 minutes to make it up there, which included time spent fiddling with the camera. At the summit, I saw about 20 other people who had all come up one of the other two routes. Along the Black Cloud Trail, I really only saw about 8 other hikers on the way up and on the way down. So please take that into mind when you're planning your trip, whether you want to go on the Black Cloud Trail or one of the other two routes. The Black Cloud really was significantly challenging, but well worth it. Take a look. If you enjoyed this video, let me know in the comments and give it a like. If you'd like to see more videos like it, please consider subscribing to my channel. If there's another trail that you'd like to see covered, Please let me know in the comment section. I'm always open to a new adventure.